Hey, I'm Bragg from Cowboy for Game, and I'm here with Jake.
Hi.
Hey, and you won our locals online, the first of the format.
I,
Uh,
I did, sure.
um, so how did you feel with the format first up?
It's interesting because at this very early stage, anyone can play anything. Like we've just come off the back of a new ban list as well, so it's a bit all up in the air as to what the format is. Plus, like we don't have any tournaments as such to ground it in any sort of facts. So it's a bit of a wild west at the moment as to what
Yeah,
can
definitely.
and can't be played.
Yeah. So, in saying that, tune into our podcast to get some more feedback. Like, we'll talk a little bit more in depth about how the tournament went. But here's your deck list that you won with.
Yeah.
Also, obviously, this is all played online in Dueling Book because hashtag stay inside. Yeah. Now I run a PSA. Anyway, so you play Mekk Knights, just all Mekk Knights with the World Legacy
Sure, Mech
stuff.
Knight.
Pure Mekk Knight.
Yeah.
Tasty. We start off with 2 Cap Shell.
Yeah.
So this is coming up a bit more often, right?
Well, particularly with this deck, you want some going first options. So you are somewhat limited in that. So there's 3 cards basically that facilitate that in this deck. One of them being Capshell in that now that Almirage is out, you can link this away. You get a draw off the Capshell and you set up a zone to start summoning Mech Knights if
Yeah.
you're going first. Um, the reason I play this over the Lizard is that if the Lizard gets negated and destroyed, then you don't get the like. Not only do you not get the draw, but you also don't get the zone.
Yeah.
Whereas at least if this is summoned, then you have the zone to play with.
Yeah. Well, I've got it in real life, and it's going to be reprinted between now and then. So, oh well.
Yeah, no, it's a TCG exclusive.
Yeah. Onto, and he's got cool little. He's throwing little marbles there too. That's pretty awesome. On to Ibli. Yeah, I
So
mean,
same premise.
yep.
This one's slightly better for a multitude of reasons. So same reason you get to set up one of your zones, but the other thing is to summon it to your opponent's zone, and then it does 3 things. So one, it sets up right in like you choose where it's summoned, so you summon it right in front of the Almirage, and then you have the 2 cards in a column, plus one of them being on your opponent's field. You get pluses off Mekk Knight Blue Sky.
Yep.
Your opponent has a card in their field, so they can't impermanent you. And 3, because they have Ibli, they can't Nibiru you.
True. It's good. That's
So
some good
you have
reasons. Some
many.
good reasons. So then, yeah, 3 blue.
There was a point where sorry,
Yeah.
there was a point where I was running what's it called, Signet Mining to Searcher, but the deck just needs resources really badly. So the discard to search and having the 3 in there
Yeah.
just made it very not viable.
Yeah. Do Lady Debug and then just wait a turn. I'm winking at the camera. Actually, I'm really not. I don't know why I lied about that. So we'll go into the Mekk Knight package. So yeah, 3 blue,
Yeah.
3 indigo, 3 purple, 2 red, 2 yellow, and
Yep.
the Avram.
Yeah. So basically, you don't run green or orange because they're garbage. You only run 2 of yellow and red because not a lot of people realize this, but their effects are not once per turn. So as long as you have Mekk Knights to banish engrave to use their effects, they could continue to use them. So it came up tonight against Salad actually. I summoned red to the zone that Pyro Phoenix was in, banished a card to destroy it. He protected it with the Bailing's engrave, and then I did it again, and it
Yeah.
died, which was great. And because you have Indigo as well, you can move it around so they can destroy multiple monsters in multiple columns. It's not always if you need to destroy the same monster twice.
Yeah.
Same with yellow. Like all of that applies to yellow as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Avram is just a matter of getting those things set up. It's an extra card you can search, and it's a turn 1 starter.
Yeah. That. I'm not going to say it. And then World Legacy, World Lance as a cute little one over there.
So there's a few reasons. Like, it's not often that I get to actually use its effect to discard to like do battle phase stuff. it comes up every so often. The main reason I run this is because of the draw card that I've got in there. So it's a card that I've got in there so that I don't have to run like Pod Desires and banish possible critical pieces. And then it comes up again with another card, which I'll talk about a little bit later.
Fair enough. All right, into the spells. You got 3 Call by the Grave. That kind of explains itself. You go first with this deck, yeah?
I try to, because the premise of Pure Mekk Knight is basically to set up floodgates. So the World Legacy spell and traps activate like floodgates for the columns that Mekk Knights are in.
Yep.
So being that 2 of them are traps and 1 of them's a spell, like 2 out of 3 of them need to be set up. So you do want to go first, despite the deck's inherent problem with that. Yep. And that's why I have those cards in there to allow you to go first.
Yeah. 3 trade in, just to get through some of your deck, I guess.
Yeah, so that's the draw card I was referring to before. So World Lance is a World Legacy card that's a level 8 that has some benefit. There are others, but they're level 7s. So I think this one's the best one for the deck to run, being that I've got the trade in. And then being able to pitch the Indigo, which you want engraved most of the time anyway, to draw 2, just seems beneficial to me. So that's why I run the trade-in rather than like Desires or Extrav or anything.
Yeah, fair enough. Unexpected Die. Yeah, that makes sense. It's the 3rd Avram. I think I've lost him. Have I lost him? No, there you are. So yeah, Unexpected Die is the 3rd Avram. Woohoo. World Legacy Succession? No. Yeah, World Legacy Succession. That's there. Right there. Look at that.
So, Monster Reborn with arrows.
And searchable. Yeah?
Very much searchable.
Yes. Then World Legacy Key.
So this is one of the 3 Mekk Knight floodgates.
Yeah.
So each of them do something on activation and then have the lingering effect, which provides the floodgate aspect. So Key adds back a World Legacy World Legacy card or a Mekk Knight that's banished back to hand. And then while it's face up on field, negs any trap card, activated effect of a trap card in the same column as a Mekk Knight. So this is like going against Altergeist and stuff going first. This is like one of your key opening cards. You definitely want to see it. But against a lot of other decks, it's not overly relevant.
Yeah. Fair enough.
It does cause those decks some problems too, because obviously they want to go first. You open this card and start summoning Mekk Knights in specific columns. It means that they need to be very careful about when they activate things, and it generally gets you a window to make plays, where against those decks you generally don't have those windows.
Makes sense. World Legacy Memory. So good.
Yeah, so that's the quick play of the deck, which summons the Mekk Knights from deck. So this is like your last resort if you don't have any other sort of starting cards.
Yeah.
Like you need to max out on it, and it's a good way to sort of extend if you can on your turn. And even setting up to have your floodgates on one of these set so that you can neg more things is really good as well. The only issue with it is that once you activate it, or once it resolves rather, you are locked into Mekk Knights, and then if you can't use it as leak material, or if it's purple, if you can't banish it for whatever reason, it bounces back to your hand at the end of the turn.
Yeah. But still, I rate it. It goes all right. 3 Imperm. That makes sense. 2 World Legacy Whispers. So
yeah. So Whispers is the 2nd of the floodgates. So when it's activated, you target a monster of level 5 or higher, increases attack and defense by 1,000.
Yep.
That effect doesn't come up all that often. But then the second effect is it negates all spell cards that are activated in the same colors as Mekk Knight. So this is it's a really good effect. I used to only ever play this at 1. But I'm finding more and more now that it does come up, particularly against like Sky Strikers and things. Just being able to sort of move things around is, it's killer against some decks.
Yeah. And then last, World Legacy Secret.
I can't tell you that one.
What a joke. What a
Like,
meme.
it's funny that it's called secret, even though it is like the most well-known Mekk Knight floodgate.
Yeah.
Because a lot of Mekk Knight Invoke players were running this package in their decks. I never particularly agreed with it myself. I don't particularly like it in that deck,
Yeah.
but in this
Well,
one,
it goes
it's the
after a
key.
monster. It is what it is. Well, I can see why you would hone in on that, but, you know, here we are.
Okay.
On
So,
to the extra deck.
what do we want to talk about next?
Extra deck. That's the
Extra
thing I
deck,
hate about
okay.
Dueling Book is I really don't like the side deck before the extra deck. It's
Yeah, that drove me nuts.
I always mix up and put my my extra deck cards in my side deck all the time.
Oh, I've done that so many times. It drives me absolutely insane.
Yeah. All right. Let's
But anyway, we are.
So we start off with Barricade Blocker. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I have yet to summon this, and I've also only just realised it's a TCG exclusive.
Yeah, I was
didn't
just
know
thinking that. This.
That's actually kind of cool.
Huh. Yeah. That makes sense why we didn't. Wasn't running in the OCG tournament, but on a borrow load, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, Borload does Borload things.
Yep. So does Borrow Sword. I don't know why the image isn't loading, but there it is. Then you got Nightmare Cerberus. So you got your Nightmare package, especially relevant
Yeah.
here. You know, on brand, on theme. And here's where we get into the new Lib,
Yes, this is so good.
the World Key Blade
Okay.
Master. So how good is she?
She's insanely good for this deck. Earlier I was talking about the World Lance. So she's pretty much the reason why I run it. So it's obviously a trade-in target, and if you can get it to grave early, you have earlier access to her because she can only be summoned once you have a World Legacy card in your graveyard. And particularly if you're going first and things, you generally won't have like a copy of like Succession or anything in graveyard yet. And then once you activate Memories, you can't summon her because she's not a Mekk Knight. But if you pitch that one early, it means that you can set up a World Legacy spell or trap without having to search it because she just sets directly from deck. And then the other thing about her, because I generally summon her on the second or third turn, just depending on sort of where I'm placed, is once she's used as link material, she shuffles a card non-targeting into the deck. So just being able to do like on-the-spot removal is fantastic.
Yeah. She
She's
Definitely does.
insanely good.
definitely goes alright. And you got a little Link Spider hiding there.
That's to set up the Avram.
Yeah.
Or
Then
rather, the Avram sets up this to do Mekk Knights.
Yeah. Then Avramax himself.
So good.
Yep. Check him out. Mekk Knight Supreme Spectrum Supreme.
This is a very situational card. It's a bit of a steal game card because basically if your opponent sets up a pretty big wall, but they leave certain aspects of the game unchecked, you can steal a game with this because if there's no cards in its column, it can attack directly, and it's got 3k.
Yeah.
And if it's the only card in its column, it also can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects. He kind of busted.
Yeah, he is.
But generally speaking, once you summon him, you don't need him.
Yeah.
You use him once, and then you want him gone. That's the easiest way to explain him. He's very situational.
You're not tempted to run another Link 4 that you can just use 2 materials for, like your Appaloosa?
I have thought about it. Generally speak, like that's the main reason I've got Barricade Borg in there. Because if I need to get rid of it for whatever reason, I'd prefer to go into Barricade Borg and protect my back row.
Yeah. Wow, what an age we live in. The Link 3 going into Barricade. Alright, Mekk Knight of the Morning Star. Maxed out at 3?
Yeah, 100%. If I could play 7, I would. It's so important to have this card. And depending on how you open as well, you can sometimes chain block Morning Star's effect with Cap Shell, just depending on how you've been able to open, which is really good because you actually don't care that much about the draw that you get from Cap Shell. It's just nice to get some utility out of it. It's more important to get the search off of Morning Star.
Almirage. Yeah.
That's for Capshell and Ibly.
Yep. And then Trisbina.
That's another one that I rarely get to summon. It's generally against like big back row type decks. And since the arrival of Lightning Storm and things, it doesn't come up. The issue with Trisbana is it only ever really came up when Red Reboot was at 3.
Yeah.
Because you could try and do plays, they try and neg you, you reboot, and then you Trish. That's what I'm going to call it now, Trish. But the thing is now you only have one. So it's much harder to get that play going.
And speaking of, let's go into the side deck then. Obviously the side deck's changed, so we'll just go quickly through all the pieces. Pancatrops, 1 Lava Golem. I'll hone in on that. Just the one?
Yeah, mainly because it was sort of just an adding card. I was at 14, I needed 1 more card.
Yep.
I was going to add in Gamseel, but then I thought I'd put in Lava Golem just on the decks that I thought I'd be facing. But either way, it's going to be a level 8, so that if it did sort of brick in my hand and I didn't need it, I could at least hopefully use trading for it.
Since you need like column control and stuff, you weren't tempted to lean more into the kaijus?
I was thinking about it, but I also have a lot of main deck cards that do that already.
Yeah.
Certainly, if the sort of meta changes and there is like a more urgent need for spot removal, then the side might change and I might take out a few of them.
Dragon,
but a lot of it, to be honest, is like most of the cards in there. Actually, no, I'd say half and half, which is pretty much most decks anyway. Half are going first, half are going second.
Yeah. And then you got Nibiru, the Lightning Storms, the Prohibitions. Did you use them all in the tournament?
Oh yeah, I use them all the time. So I used this deck last week against a player who was apparently prolific for opening Lightning Storms against every other player. So I pretty much had full setup against him too, plus this. So I used this to call Lightning Storm.
Yep.
And he definitely opened it. So I definitely did correct with calling it. Yeah, it comes up a lot. Oh, and tonight against Salad, I did have a couple of the floodgates set up, and he had a Foxy both in hand and in grave. So I used Prohibition to call Foxy so he couldn't use the effect to out the floodgates.
Yeah. Then 3 evenly match, 1 red reboot, and the 2 unending nightmares. Yeah, it makes sense. It's infinite.
It's up back row and deals with like Mystic Mind type decks.
That's a good point. Actually, that is a really good idea. So how about that? The first MR5 locals is won by a Link deck. No, Links are dead, bro. Links are dead. Alright, thank you very much for joining us, Jake. Look forward to... I'm sure I'm going to get your deck profiles in the next few weeks. Obviously, if you play this winning formula again, I won't be featuring it until there's a significant change. But we mix it up, so I'm going to have to go to second place next week. Actually, no, you'll be second place next week because actually I'm not winning. I'm on. Oh, maybe I can play next week. But stay tuned.
Wait, can you play on Thursday?
No, I can't play this Thursday. No.
Oh.
Next week though, I'm on the correct shift. I think.
Oh yeah.
I think. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining us. As I said at the top, please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really helps us. And if you have any deck ideas or anything,
deck, feel free to comment below.
Especially as well, if there's any weird cards that you want to focus on, like if there's any like hidden gems, send them to me because I'm really keen to get into the weeds. Now I'm playing more online that I can find a card and break it down, and we're gonna start featuring a few more weird cards or ideas or anything else. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. Ciao. Bye.